Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is I don't know. I've been through this twice as a parent, and it's challenging. And then just moving the kids I work with through the process is challenging. So I know what it's like. All right. So I'm Ellen Whalen. I graduated from Wellesley College with a BA in economics and Spanish. I worked on at Fortune 500 companies doing sales and marketing. And then when my daughters were born, I quit. I did homeschooling for a while, and then I became a professional writer and editor. And then in 2017, I entered this space, and I've been, helping families. I've helped hundreds of families through the process, and I've edited well over 1,000 essays. I think I'm going to be getting close to 2,000 shortly. And anyway, I'm going to probably hit 400 Common Apps this year. And I really enjoy helping craft and the Common App so a student stands out and shines. So tonight we're going to be going through how to help your student do that, how to move them through the process. I would say, setting the personal statement aside, which I saw some kids that started or were done, I would say the Common App really can be done in like 2 hours. It's not that big of a deal. It's like doing a really short resume. Think of it that way, right? So I hope that encourages people. I saw good, someone posted good. Okay, great. So hopefully tonight I will help them to move through it. Okay. So what I want to say is some people don't even,
Ellen, somebody said, is this only for parents? I mean, absolutely
no,
not.
no, absolutely not. Just pretend to get parents,
Right,
right?
right.
No, hey, love to have kids, So I want to say that the Common App, like, what is the Common App, right? It was around when we were applying to school, but it was very small. And it was obviously back then it was paper, or at least for people my age. But so what it is, over 1,000 schools are available on the Common App. Even some of them are in England, if your child's interested in that. And so they do one application and they can send it to 20 schools using the Common App. Now, I want to make this clear. Each application is sent off separately. You have to choose the school. You have to pay to the application fee for that school, if there is one. It's not being sent in mass. We always have that question. So not every school is on there. Like the UCs, the University of California system, is not on the Common App. The Georgetown, MIT, they are not on the Common App. The majority of schools are. Even like UT Austin came on, I think, last year. They used to just go through Apply Texas. The next thing I want to say is there's no benefit if a school has their own application and uses the Common App. They are not supposed to favor their application over the Common App. So if the student has that option, use the Common App. It's easier. So I just wanted to make that point. All right. So now that we understand the mechanism of the Common App, that is 20 schools can be put onto it. Every student has a story, right? The Common App encapsulates their story. It's kind of like a novella. It takes their high school career and puts it into about 13 pages. It might be more with how many supplements there are. Another piece of the Common App that people don't think about, when a teacher is been asked to write a letter, the Common App has a form that the teacher and the counselor can fill out. They have questions. One of the questions for counselors, the question is the rigor. Has a student, how much rigor, like, has a student max out the rigor at the school? Like, there's like average rigor, question like that. So there are two forms, teacher form, counselor form, that also get added to it. Then there's some schools, more and more schools are asking for the self-reported academic report, the SRAR. Your bigger schools are asking for that. And that's where the student is taking their transcript and putting it into this format that makes it easier for every school to quickly look over the data. So it's a uniform transcript is what it basically is. So that's another piece of the Common App, potentially, if a student is asked to do that. And that can take about an hour to do. It can be a little challenging from what I've heard. I've never personally done it. So that's kind of the Common App in a nutshell. So what I would like to do, and I want to keep in mind too, that the few other pieces that a college is going to get, in addition to the Common App, the letters of rec and those forms I just mentioned, the high school profile, they're going to get that. That helps them to understand the transcript, to understand what classes are available, and maybe average SATs and stuff like that. And then a student may or may not have to submit a portfolio, like an arts portfolio, if that's something they are looking to major in. And then some schools let students upload a resume. And that's pretty much it, right, Debbie? That's kind of the whole,
Yeah.
everything all together
Mhm.
to just encapsulate a student. Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen. Oh, so tonight I have a mocked up Common App that I have done showing mistakes and then a better way to do it, like in the activity section. So you'll be seeing, two different ways of the typical way I see, and then how it might be improved. And then a student we appreciate actually gave us a Common App for this year that she was working on, and I have gone through it, and you're going to see how I go through a Common App and try to give it more oomph. So without any more ado, I'm going to get into sharing my screen, and here we go. Okay, can you see the Common App?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I don't know how many of you've seen my the talks. I've done 3 talks already this year on the student's narrative and how to weave that in. If you haven't seen that, Debbie, do you want to share the Road to College YouTube?
Yes, I will share it in the.
Okay, thank you. In the chat, we have lots and lots of talks there. We have these old talks with other Common Apps that were shared that you can go towards the end and see other kids' Common Apps. But this is what the Common App looks like. There's the profile section, that's the student section, like the biographical information. Then a little bit about the family. Then education. I think that's the one where they put their senior year classes in, for example, and testing, ACT, SAT, APs, IBs, and then the activity section, the dreaded activity section, and then the writing, which is the supplemental essay, the additional information section. And so what I want to show you, this is a practice Common App, and here's the dashboard. Is it going to jam on me? Okay, good. It's fine. So I threw in some colleges here. And if I go into, I'm going to go into Purdue. This is Purdue's college specific section. So the part we're going to be focusing on is going to be the common part of the Common App. Like 80% of what goes off to a college is the common part. And then there's the school specific part. So here's Purdue's school specific part. So here, the reason I'm going in here for the writing requirements. So college questions, we want to see what, if any, they have. The majority have the Common App. So I'm going to hit college questions, and if I scroll down to writing, they've got all different, questions in general. But if I scroll down to writing, here is a question. How will opportunities at Purdue support your interests both in and out of the classroom? That's one. The other one is briefly discuss your reasons for pursuing the major you've selected. So this is your classic why Purdue and why your major question broken into 2. Sometimes they are merged into one question. So that's basically what these 2 supplemental essays are. So I just wanted to point out that is what the college specific section of the Common App is. If I go back into the dashboard with all the colleges, if I hit this little button in the upper right-hand corner called application requirements, they started this like 3 years ago. It puts everything together, all the colleges with the deadlines, and it gives us fees, gives us a lot of good information, supplements, like if a portfolio is needed for certain majors. And over here, I like to look at this for the recommendations, how many recommendations, like Indiana University doesn't need any recommendations. So you can see the variety. Like Brown wants 2 teachers, 0 others, for example. So that are required. It doesn't mean you couldn't, well, you may or may not want to send any, but that's just helpful to just look at that. And now I'm going to, this is all, excuse me, it opens up a new tab for me. So now I can't, things are in the way. Okay, goodbye. All right, sorry. Okay, there we go. I'm back. Okay, so now I'm going to jump into the common part of the Common App. People always get confused and think I might still be in the College Specific section. I am not. So this is where a student would fill out their basic information. You can see all the different tabs. If I hit preview, and that's what a student can do for every section, it just breaks down to this small amount. It's easier to see. A student can get a PDF of the whole application and print it out if they want to edit it. So what I want to just point out quickly, the student name should be their legal name. It should match what the counselor is using. The 2 should match. Okay, that is an important point to make. The email address should be professional. Languages. A lot of students speak another language, but they don't put it down. So if they've been taking a language for a while, add that. Obviously, if a student is poly or lingual, whether bilingual or trilingual, that's really great to put down. I've had students that happen to be, and they don't put that down. Obviously make sure the social security number is correct. Okay, so that is the student profile part. Now the next part is family, and I'm going to hit preview again. And I kept this just really simple, but you can see parents. It asks for occupation and the schools that they went to, colleges they went to, graduate school, and siblings. Now, students only need to fill out things that have the red asterisks. Otherwise, you don't have to fill the information out, but it's up to you, just so you know that. Now I'm going to go to the education section. And again, you can see all these different sections, and I'm going to hit preview. And here we are. So there's a question about whether there was a change in progress. In the past, I thought it included if you change schools. I have since found out I was wrong. So change in progress is only if a student is took a year off or is graduating early. That is the sole definition of change in progress. So most students do not have a change in progress. This is a mistake I see, and start getting into mistakes. If a student takes a summer program, just because they took a summer program at a college, it doesn't mean that college gives college credit. Harvard's summer program, for example, does not give college credit. So they would not list the college like Harvard here if they did their summer program, because then that is going to trigger a request for a transcript. The application will get held up because the school thinks the student got college credit and they're expecting a transcript. So if a student has done a summer program, just make sure, find out whether or not they've done, if they're getting credit. If they're not getting credit, this can be put in as an activity. It just would not go under, colleges and universities. Okay, next thing, we have our grades for rank. So students can choose single numbers. I'll go in and just show this because we usually have a lot of questions on this. So let me go to, so here's the grades. Okay, so I would input graduating class. Roughly, you can do an exact class rank, a decile, quintile, no class rank. A lot of schools, very few schools rank nowadays. I think it's less than 40%. So, and then, here, so it's a decile rank. And you can do weighted, unweighted. They've got all different GPA scales. Look at all the different options. So you can really customize it to what your student, what their school has. If a student's not sure what to do, ask their counselor, have them ask their counselor. Okay, so in this case, generally people say, put the weighted GPA against a 4.0, so that it looks the best, and put weighted. Don't perseverate over this too much, because colleges will on weight GPAs generally and either leave them on weighted, everyone's on weighted, or they will weight it back in their own way. So do not worry about, don't put too much time into that. All right, next section, students list their senior year courses. So when we look at the student tonight that we have her Common App, we don't have her transcript. So she actually had to fill out the SRAR, the self-reported academic record, but generally, like, we would have a transcript, right? But so here I can see senior classes. I made up these classes, but this is where students will list them. Then they have 5 honors. A lot of kids don't have honors. I actually listened to an informative talk with admissions officers addressing the honor section. They say a lot of kids don't have honors. Don't worry if your kid doesn't have honors. And if we have international students listening, a lot of international schools don't have honors. So it's not a huge section to worry about. If your student has an honor, great. So one of the most common mistakes I see is National Honors Society. There's no S on honors. It's National Honor Society. So you're going to see mistakes that I have on here. So just be mindful that they might not to copy the mistake, that I only put it in to show the mistake. And then I've had a student put in thinking that all honors classes were listed, and he had an honors math. So that's not the point here. Some people, it's supposed to be academic honors, but I have people put in athletic honors. So I leave that up to you. So an athletic honor could be put in as part of the activity. And I'm going to give an example of that later on. And so like AP Scholar Award, that's a great honor to put here. So the mistake is that the AP Scholar Award should be higher. And I made a mistake. It should not be school. It should be regional. So I'm going to go fix that right now so you can see me do that. I'm going to go into honors, and I'm going to change that. And it is a national award. So there we go. Let me take it off of school. Okay, so I fixed that. If I wanted to add another honor, I would hit here. I have 5 honors, and preview. And there are 100 characters in the honors. So if there was an honor that I needed to explain, I could actually tell exactly what the honor was. And I'm going to be doing that. We'll see that example when we have the real Common App. And the last piece is future plans. And students can choose a lawyer, doctor, engineer, accountant, or they can scroll down to the bottom and choose other and write in, I think they have 50 characters to write in whatever they want. And I made something up and said to study computer science and use that to perfect self-driving cars. And then the student should put what level of degree they want to get. Okay, so that is the education section. We're just cruising along. And now I'm going to go to testing. And I know we always have lots of questions about
Yeah,
testing.
there's already been questions, Ellen, about
Okay.
testing, about can they send it in separately for schools? There was a good question about if a school does require it, do you have to send in from the College Board or the official report before you submit the app, the Common App?
Okay, so every school is going to be different, but most schools nowadays let students self-report because the Common App charges people to send off each report. So it'd be more equitable.
The College Board, the College Board.
Yeah, didn't I say the College Board?
You said the Common App.
Oh, I'm sorry. The College Board. Sorry, thank you, Debbie. Correct me whenever I need to be corrected. Yes, the College Board charges people to send off every test score to each individual college. I know when my oldest went and they didn't let students self-report. I think it was $15 a pop. And if you're applying to 15 schools, it just adds up. And if your student is super scoring, so they're sending two different test dates, because that was their
It
best
was a
score.
racket. It was a racket.
Exactly. So anyway, I don't know if the person saying that the school is asking them to send it in. Usually the students self-report now. If they get accepted, they send the scores directly from the college board after they're accepted. So hopefully that answers the question. Now,
Yeah.
if they don't want to send it in, they can choose to say they aren't sharing the test scores for each individual school. So I can go and show that to you now. If I go, let me go out of here. Okay, all right, let me go back. So here's testing. If I go to SATs, okay, I'm sorry, just want to make sure. Oh, here we go. In addition to self-reporting, do you wish to self-report scores? Okay, so I can say no. And now I'm not, if I go and look, I'm not sharing any testing. But so I could do that. And then if I want to say yes, it's still all here. And so depending upon for whom you're going to share or not share, a student can do that. So in this case, I'm going to just hit my preview and just show you that I said that the student had taken two tests because the student's super scoring it, right? That's why the student's reporting two tests. The student really took three tests, but they're reporting that they took two tests in this scenario to draw their best math and English from the two different tests.
And quite honestly, and I can't remember, I know it's still Georgetown. I don't know if it is another school that is requesting all your tests, but this is fine these days. Students can pick the best section on the best score from different test dates and only present those. They don't have to show every single test they might have taken in every section.
Yes. I know Yale back in the day made you send in all your test scores. I don't know if they still do. Okay, so that is how the SAT section works, or ACT, I just happened to put the SAT in. Now, the AP subject tests, these can also be put in. A student does not have to share a score if they don't want to. So they could share all their scores except for one if it wasn't great. I know people are going to ask, how do you know whether or not to send it in? And it's going to depend on the school. You can Google the school name and put in AP credit, and they will list, that we give a 5 for like art history. Excuse me, a 5 will get credit for art history, but all you need is a 4 for chemistry, let's say, right? A lot of the state schools will give credit for 3s. So if a school gives credit for it, a student can consider giving a test score of a 3. Now, if a student's majoring in something, let's just say it's math, they want to major in math, and they have a 3 in math, it's one of those things that's not the greatest score for something they want to major in. Of course, it depends on how competitive the college is, all that kind of stuff. So you need to be judicious and really weigh this. But a good starting point is looking to see whether or not a school gives credit. So in this case, a mistake I see commonly, I always suggest that a student puts all the 5s first and then goes down. Do not put it chronologically from when they start taking classes in 9th grade or alphabetically. Just put the 5s up top and in descending order. That is what I recommend doing. And then they put their future tests that they're taking. And I just threw in IB because I know some students might have IB. IB test scores can go in here. I know a lot of them aren't done until senior year. But a student could ask if their counselor could give them a predicted IB score. But some students, it's only 1 year or they get started as a sophomore. But some programs, they just do junior year and are able to test. So that is.
And let me just add, and this is directly from an admissions officer, actually from Emory, if your student does not share an AP score and they might have taken the AP, well, first of all, the admissions will never know whether they took it or not. and they will not read into the fact that it's not there. Because they just look at what is there. They don't think about what's not there for the test, because there could be lots of reasons why it's not there, and they're not going to hypothesize or spend the time figuring out. They're just going to consider what you do share. So I say that to actually hopefully reduce any worry about, should I send it, or what are they going to think if I don't send it? They're just not even going to think about it.
Yes. Yeah. And if a student shares a score, an admissions officer can't unsee what they saw. So be mindful of that. And just because a student is afraid, doesn't want to send in a 3 because it might not make sense to, they shouldn't worry that it's school's going to think, oh, they have a 1. Because like Debbie says, first of all, they're reading these so quickly, they'd have to match up and look at the transcript and look at the AP scores and go, wait a minute, I see, 6 AP classes here, but only 5 scores. They'd have to take time to match it up. I don't think they have time. So yes, do not worry about that. All right, so now we're done with testing. So I'm going to get now into the activities, which is the heart of the application.
Ellen, before you get into the activities, can you just talk a little bit about, because there were a fair number of questions, and it's not really a section you go over, but is recommendations.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
okay. So is there a specific question? Am I just doing a broad
it's
recommendation?
really just about people asking, when they need to be recommended. Do they need to make sure that the recommendation is in before they submit the application? And then questions about, do they really have to sign the FERPA?
Okay. All right. So 3 questions. All right. So if a student hasn't asked their teachers already, they should tonight. Send an email, right? Tomorrow morning. I recommend they ask in May. I know it's too late, but for juniors listening, May. Some teachers say they only will do 20. And if your student's 21st, or, they don't get paid to do these. All right. So that's the first thing. The next thing is that once the student asks the teacher and they say yes, the student goes in to if I go into the dashboard, I can quickly show you. You just jump into Brown. Here's the recommenders in FERPA. This is where they go in and they request, they give the teacher's email, and the teacher then gets an email that they have been asked to, write a letter. And that is, I think, how they upload it, unless they're on like Naviance. And I think they do it through Naviance, which is, your counselor would know all that type of stuff. The FERPA, yes, the student should waive their rights, because the letters do not have any weight if their rights are not waived. Everyone waives their rights. It's not a big deal that I know of. Yes, I don't know why you wouldn't waive your rights not to see the letters. So did I answer all the questions, Debbie?
Yes, you did. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so now I'm going back to the regular part of the Common App, and I'm going back to activities. All right, so here, again, there are 10 activities. I'm going to hit preview, and then this is what they look like. This is, like I said, this is the heart of it. And if I just go back in, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So a student would choose, they have choice of activities. You can see academic, art, athletics, career, culture, dance, family, internship, all different options. So they would go through that, figure out what their activity is, give it a title, an activity type. Then there are 3 sections. There's the title, which is 50 characters, the org description, 100 characters, and the description 150. So it's 300 characters all together. Then a student chooses the participation grade levels. When they do it, do they do it during the school year? Do they do it during break like summer? Or do they do it all year round? Then they put in the number of hours per week. This is an average. And then the weeks per year. And then do they want to participate in college? Yes or no? They don't have to say yes, you know, and that's it. That's what makes up one activity. Oh, I want to say, Debbie, I get students choosing post-grad for, oh, where is that? Oh, here it is. Sorry, it's right here. So students will choose postgraduate, thinking that is continuing. That is for students that go to like prep school for 13th grade. So that's what postgraduate is. All right, so now that you've seen that, I'm going to go back in. So here are the mistakes I see. So someone playing basketball, this will be typical of what I'll see. Their teammate, then their captain, they're on the varsity team, 11th and 12th, and this is all they write. Played on high school basketball team, won HPE award. Okay, I made up an acronym, all right? So like that's it. Like we already knew it was basketball, and they're telling us they played, and we know that it's high school, right? Athletics, JV, varsity is the choice, so we know that already. So we don't really learn anything new through the activity. So I just made the note of what's wrong here. So first of all, played. If the student is still doing it because it's 12th grade, it's play, right? It's present tense if they're still doing it. High school, I'll see, this is a common mistake. I say kids are making high school one word. I don't know why. I've heard other IECs talk about this. It's a common thing. High school is two words. I suggest that people use semicolons between the descriptions instead of periods. They're not sentences. If they use a period, then they need to put the extra period at the end, which could be a precious character if you're trying to max out the 300 characters. So use semicolons because that's like semicolons are good for listing. And then don't use an unknown acronym. So I made, highest point earner is this HPE that I made up. So those are just common mistakes I see. Now, this is what I recommend a student could beef it up by doing, first of all, you want to lead with the most current and the most impressive title. So up here it was teammate, then captain. So here it's captain 12, MVP, most valuable player, right? That's a known acronym. But instead of putting that in the award section, which should be academic, I put it here where it should be in the athletic activity. So then assistant coach with roster. So assistant coach, I think, I'm sorry. It's not, I did it. It's assist coach. So I made a mistake here. I don't know. Okay. It's assist coach with roster warm up. So I'm going to just go in and fix that so I don't forget. You guys can just see how I can quickly fix that, assuming I can fit it in. Maybe that's my issue because I try to, oops, no, I can fit it in. Great. Okay, look at that. Okay, so I want to show you two right now. If I want to move something up because order matters, I just hit this arrow and up it goes. And now it is first, my number one activity. And I'm going to move back down for our exercise. So it's as simple as moving things up and down with the arrow. Okay, so getting back to this. Did I not? Oh, I messed that up. I moved the order completely wrong. Okay, let me go back down again. This is going down again. And student, okay, let's go down. All right, this is the assist coach. Okay, all right, it's getting, I don't know how it got all messed up. You have to go up. And let me go back up. Sorry about this. Okay. And all right, I have this guy played. Okay, good. I think I'm right back to normal again. Okay. All right, so here we go. All right, so after assist coach with roster warm-up, this is all the title. I have it running fully. That's 50 characters. Then this is the org. Varsity to 11th, 11, 12, JV 9, 10. So I flipped it to lead with varsity. Went to states in 11th. Team has been number one in region for 10 years. So that is all the org name, giving context. Now, this is the 150 characters for description. Broke school record, 700 baskets in 11th. Lead by example. Mentor 9th grade members. Teach neighborhood kids. Arrive early. Stay late. Give it my all. So those are just some examples how to flesh out an athletic activity. You see, I did not end with a period. And I don't know if that's 300 characters, but it's very close, I'm sure. It's like a word puzzle. Okay, so now we're going to do student government. Very common. So vice president, high school student government. Well, the title says student government politics, right? So this is redundant. Attended meetings, help plan homecoming and prom, fundraise. So my comment here with the mistakes are mention impact, right? Give numbers. Keep it in the present tense again, not attended, but attend meetings, and use more active verbs. So this is what I did. Elected VP, because that's impressive if the peers are electing the student. Focus on sustainability. High school student government. So I kept it, you could get rid of that, but I had words, so 80 members, that's a big club. 2 meetings per week. Work with principal to create real change in school. That is the whole org name there. Now, this is the description. Leading with a strong action verb. Spearheaded installation of water fountains for reusable bottles. Reducing plastic usage of 5,000 plus bottles and raised $2,000 through online campaign. So numbers make a difference. So as much as a student can input numbers to show impact, the more they stand out and show that they are making a difference in their community. So that's how that is strengthened. Okay. And you can see I've got different hours. Maybe a student sometimes is doing some work at home too. Like, I don't think they always think, more often than not, students underrepresent their hours. That's what I tend to see. But I do sometimes see other extremes. So instrument, that's another common activity. I say, what do you say about an instrument, right? Oboe player, high school orchestra, play an orchestra. That is commonly what I see. So this is how I fleshed this out. First chair oboe player. Also, I didn't make this point, but I like to put the titles in all caps. It's one of the few things you can do that in this format. The bold is already standard, but that's something that gets it to pop. So then 11, 12. 3 solos, 11. Springfield Youth Orchestra, SYO. 50 members, school musicals, orchestra pit. So we haven't even gotten into the description yet. Audition for spot in SYO. Well, we know what that is now because we have the acronym. 40 student orchestra, 4 concerts per year, played in 4 musicals, love classical music, playing since age 11. People will say, well, how do you get in that they've been doing it more than high school? Here you go, playing since age 11. Now we have context. It's been a long time. So that's really helpful. And here, I gave it more hours in this particular case because, the student also is practicing a lot at home. They also take private lessons potentially, and that could be something added if the student were to do it. Again, I think they might underestimate. So I just gave some reasons why there might be more time. All right. So now family responsibilities. I don't go into common mistakes. I think I pointed enough out, but a lot of students don't think about the fact that they have family responsibilities. So schools want to know how students spend their time, however that is. So this is if a student does a lot, they can't maybe do activities. They should highlight this. And if that's the case in the additional information section, they can say, I don't have any after school activities because I need to come home and take care of my siblings. So that's helpful. So part-time babysitter and kitchen helper. So that's the title. And then the org name is my parents both work, so I help where I can. It can be hard to juggle schoolwork. So maybe this student, his grades aren't as good as they could be, right? And that's alluding to that. That could also be addressed in the additional information section. And I'm going to explain what that is when we get there. Watch 2 younger siblings after school until 5:30, help with homework, drive to activities, shop for groceries, make dinner, and clean up 2 nights a week. So those are just some ideas. Now, the next section is work. A lot of students work. Counter server and cashier, ice cream joint USA, scoop over 200 cones per shift. So I just threw in some impacts of numbers. Take orders, train new employees. A lot of students train new employees and they don't mention it. Close store, make a mean milkshake, show a little sense of humor there, earn $6,000 plus in 2024 to help with family finances. So that's another way to describe it. And the student is doing it during school year and break. So not fully year round, but a lot of the time. And so what I could have said 40 weeks per year, I could have said at one point of this, summers work 30 hours. Like that could be a nice simple addition to just break it out. Because if this is the average, then maybe they're only working 6 or 8 hours a week during the school year, but in the summer they might be working 30 or 40. And so they can isolate it by saying summer, 40 hours. Okay, then the last one I have is theater. Lead actor and assistant director involved in 3 regional theaters and school theater, started in 2015. So that's, again, before we get into the description of the 150-word description. Experience all sides of theater, 8 lead roles, 26 shows, rose from stagehand to assistant manager to assistant director at a professional theater. So this is a way to combine a lot of different an activity that's quite large. It might have different theaters. It's the student's been doing it a long time. How do you encapsulate it? This is one way to do it. Reduce it down to the exact numbers of each piece. And then if, say, a student is applying for theater, then they might need to do a theater portfolio. And with that, usually a request is a resume for theater, which could be like 2 or 3 pages with all the different shows they've been in and theaters they've acted in. So anyway, so this is just one way to be really reductive. Debbie, do you have a question?
No,
Okay.
no, continue.
Okay, all right. So that's the end. That's the end of the activity section. So again, there are 10 activities potential. A student doesn't have to fill out all 10. Lafayette, actually last year, Lafayette College made it that you can't give more than 6. So I guess if there are the extra 4, they don't look at them because they don't want to put extra pressure on students. And MIT, they have their own application, as I mentioned in the beginning, and they only let students put in 4 activities. So students don't have to use all 10. If they have enough to use all 10, great. A lot of admissions officers look at the top 3 or 4 and skim the rest. So that's why it needs to be top heavy. The most important have to be at the top. And I like to bundle things to show depth. So that's another helpful approach. All right, so I'm going to go to writing. And this is where the personal essay, the main essay, the personal statement, the Common App essay, they're all the same thing. That they go by all those different names. Debbie, you might have another name, but I think those are the majority of the names. And it is a 650-word essay. These are the different prompts they can choose. I always just say share an essay on any topic of your choice and don't overthink it. These can be great to ponder an essay, but just choose that. It's just easier. And okay, so I just gave some examples of what really quickly I've gone over the last talk I did with Debbie like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I went more into essays with the Common App, but basically the students should write about the passion and potentially what makes them unique. Common mistakes I see: spending 80% of the essay on their childhood and not enough time on who they are today in high school, who they become. We want to know about maybe that incident when they were 8, but what they learned from that incident, how it's impacting them today in high school, how they're implementing what they took from that experience to make their community better or themselves better, whatever it is. And then that it's a one-dimensional essay, not being expansive enough. So try to write about various interests or other parts of your life, maybe through a lens of, let's say, failure and success, but not just one time of failure. So bring it into other parts of their life. Maybe they failed in a sport and then overcame it. Maybe they failed in theater and overcame it. Or they realize that it's okay to try out because it's okay to fail. Like different times, for example, of when they've dealt with failure. So those are my quick suggestions on the personal statement. And then we have the additional information section. There are two parts to that. This, there's a short essay, I think it's 250 words, right? It was started during COVID, and now they have it for, if there are natural disasters or something, some kind of disruption. So it could be used if a student has a drop in grades, for example, because of a natural disaster. So a lot of students are not going to use this section. Now, the additional information section is underutilized. Lots of students do not use it. It is another 650 word essay. I say essay lightly because really it's meant to be to the point. It's supposed to be almost like bullet point ideas. It's not a place where student uploads an essay, a supplemental essay that they like, that a student, a college might not want an essay, or to ask for one and they're like, oh, I'm going to give them this essay anyway. It's not a place where you upload a resume. If a school wants a resume, they ask for it in the school specific section. So do not put a resume here. Debbie, I remember asked one time, someone asked about if they have a resume, could they just put it here and then not fill out the activity section? And one of the big pieces of the exercise of applying to college is paying attention to directions. Can you follow directions? So they need to fill out the activity section. So yes, they might also have a resume, and the resume might be more expansive. So if a school asks for that, that's wonderful. Then they have two different approaches. So those are possible mistakes, and these are now possible uses for the additional information section. So if a student is doing the IB, the full IB, and they have an extended essay and maybe some internal assessments, the IAs, they could explain what the different research papers were about. And if they're in the AP research class, that could be spelled out here. If they have acronyms that they couldn't clarify, that could go here. But you saw how I was able to cram a lot in, so hopefully they don't need to do that. They could expand upon, maybe they have the Girl Scout Gold Award or the Boy Scout Eagle Award. They could expand, or they have done some research. They could expand upon it here, but keeping it to the point. So let's see, could see additional information section in activities if they want to, say, go look there for more. They could provide a link to a newspaper article, for example, to give evidence of what they said they did. Now, the colleges may or may not be able to click on it. They might be instructed not to because of viruses, but having a clear link there, they can see it's probably official. And a teacher could confirm that the student, had an article written up about them, or that they've, had something published. They could tell a teacher, whatever, counselor, if that's on their resume, the teacher might be able to confirm it, stuff like that. Explain if there's a conflict with a class that they wanted to take, like a scheduling issue. Or maybe why you only have 2 or 3 years of a language. The more competitive the college, the more they want 4 years of a language. They want to see 4 years of the 5 core subjects: math, English, science, language, and history. So my hand went up and I didn't do anything.
That's
I'm
okay.
going to lower my hand. Okay, this hand was up. Okay, so let's see what else. Explain the conflict. All right. Explain a drop in grades or an upward trend. It could be because of health. It could be because of a learning challenge. Now we're going to get the question. Debbie knows this all too well. If a student, when should a student share that if they have a learning challenge? Generally, the rule of thumb is if their grades were not affected, do not share it. But if their grades were affected, then it's really helpful to know. And hopefully, maybe his freshman year, their grades weren't great, and then they got diagnosed and got help and implemented some strategies, and then they have a nice upward trend. Like, that is really helpful. So that would be the case you'd explain it. And you might, if you want the counselor to explain it instead, or additionally, they need to ask the counselor to do that. So that could be something added to their letter. All right. And I guess my last thing is at the end, they can write, "Thank you for reading my application." For the very least, they can write that and put that into the section. So that is the Common App. And then there is, if they have to do the student, the self-reported academic report. So I'm ready to go into the student one that I have, Debbie. Should I stop or just go into it?
Before you go in, there's just a few questions that just kept coming up a lot
Okay.
about dual enrollment. Where do those courses, where should they be?
Yeah. So yep. So where I showed, like, do you have another school? And I had the example of the Harvard summer camp. That would be a place where the dual enrollment. Now, every school is different, but some high schools take the dual enrollment, like the community college, and put the grades on the transcript. So that's good to know, because then you'd have to ask the counselor. So I'm not really sure how that works, because when a college is put on there, transcripts expected, but if it's embedded in the high school, if they're married together and it's on the high school transcript, I'm not really sure. Do you know, Debbie? I don't know the answer to that. If they still put it there, I imagine they still put it there, and hopefully then it's just obvious the transcript is the grades from the community college are part of the high school.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know
know for sure, but I would also, like, my gut would be place it there as well, even though they're on.
Yep, yep. So that's a question for the counselor. How do I handle dual enrollment on the Common App? But my gut is that they put the community college there, and then they need to know whether or not the transcript has those grades on it. So
can maybe just repeat this one piece of information, then we can go on. It's about the honors section, about what really goes there. People are confused. Should it be just academic honors? Can it be other honors, like athletic honors? Could it be even other honors club than what you just showed? There's others besides the National Honor Society. There's, some other clubs that people are mentioning that are honors clubs.
yeah. Okay. So again, it's supposed to be an academic award, but a lot of people take liberties with it. That's all I can tell you. So National Honor Society could actually be an activity, and it can be an honor. It can be both, right? Now, if a student has a lot of activities, you wouldn't want to double dip. So they have to decide. And some students have more than 5 honors, right? So National Honor Society could be, you could say, I have too many honors, it's not going to be an honor. I'm going to make it an activity. Well, if it's an activity, are they tutoring? Are they doing community service? Then that can become an activity, but I want to know, like, what they're tutoring. Are they tutoring math? How many students are they tutoring? Did they, help a student's grades increase? Like, give me impact and data. Now, if there are other National Honor Society type honors, then sure, they can go there, right? I'm just
What
gonna.
about awards for, like, art?
Yeah, because art is academic, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I would say yes. Just like, music can be, because that's another type of course. Again, use
What
your
about like
common sense.
what about a community service award?
Yeah, that's kind of like athletics. Like, again, I don't think they're going to be penalized. I've had students put in the athletic stuff and they got into college, right?
I agree. I don't think that the admissions officers are splitting hairs about, like, what's in that section or not.
Yeah, and I'm going to just go to it because I want to look and see what they specifically say. Again, here are the honors, and what does it exactly say? Do you wish to report any honors related to your academic achievements beginning with the 9th grade? That is what it says, academic
What's the
achievement.
asterisk? The red asterisk.
That means they have to fill it out.
Okay, just required. Okay.
Yes. If they yes or no, they're just saying they might not have any, and then they just say no. But yes, that's what it means. So that is what it says, academic achievements. Okay, any more questions?
I mean, again, the only other one that kept coming up was the Eagle Scout. Like,
Okay.
so sounds like that should go in activities.
Yes, it's definitely an activity. I've had people put it here, and I don't have a problem with that. You know what I mean? But it's definitely an activity, and they might want to use the additional information section to expand it.
And it, yes. Okay,
Anything else?
nope,
Okay.
nope, let's go on to the
Okay,
real
great.
sample one.
Okay, so now, okay, here we go. All right, so now I copied and pasted a Common App into a doc, right? So this is, it's anonymous. So the first thing I noticed, that the student is Black or African American, and I noticed in the essay, she doesn't mention her heritage at all. And now that race can't be considered because of the Supreme Court decision, unless a student can show how it's affected them, like made them who they are today, impacted them in some way, that then can be incorporated, say, into the personal statement in some way. It doesn't, the whole essay doesn't have to be about, but maybe there's a sentence or two. The student did not mention this. So I'm just pointing it out. When I do a Common App review, I just mock it up and I just make comments, and
It doesn't mean
then
that every single comment needs to be acted upon. That's what you're
correct,
saying.
exactly. So these are just suggestions. So the student did not highlight any other languages. So that's something else she could have done. And then I'm going to scroll down, and now we are into, here's the rank. They don't rank 1,000 students in class. Here's her GPA. All right, so then these are her high school, her senior year classes. So when I looked at this quickly, I saw pharmacology. So I was like, okay, that's different, right? And then honor. So here's the academic all district varsity softball. So she put in athletics. And since it can be 100 characters, I was like, well, all right, so what is this, right? Tell me, is it you had to maintain a 90 plus average? I don't know, right? She has room to tell me what this honor means. So that is my recommendation, that she gives it some context. Okay, future plans, pharmacist. Okay, whoops. So that's great. So that's why she's taking that class. So now we're going to look at her Common App through the lens of her future plans, right? Are her classes supporting it? You know, yes, she took pharmacology, for example. Are her activities supporting it? I want evidence that what she says she wants to do. If she says she wants to be an engineer and she's never taken physics, I might scratch my head, right?
So, and Ellen, this is fair to say, just whatever a student picks as a future plan. I mean, in this moment, that might be their future plan. And they might change it in a year. Nobody's going to go back and say, hold on, you can't change it because your Common App says that you want to be a pharmacist. So people also get kind of caught up with that. Like, well, they don't know for sure if they want to, be a pharmacist. If today that it's of interest and it adds kind of depth to the application, then say they want to be a pharmacist.
Yes, and forget future plans. Students change their major 2 or 3 times, not their profession. And I think, I mean, what people can be changing their professions like 8, 10 times, 12 times in the future. Like, people are changing them so often now, it's commonplace. So yeah, do not worry about that. But yes, there needs to be evidence. The narrative, the story, the novella should support it. All right, so she's not reporting any test scores. And now we're into activities. Look at that. That was really quick and easy, right? Here we are. Okay, so what I did was what she I have what she put in, and then I changed it. Like, I beefed it up. So that's what's highlighted. So I just put here, I said this is implied and could go if space was needed. So the ABC high school, I made everything anonymous. So starting pitcher for high school varsity program. So you can see there's not, it's a bit redundant and all that. So I made it varsity starting pitcher, all caps, 9th, 12th, ABC high school. Again, we didn't need that, but in this context, we don't have anything else to put in. Playing softball since age 8. Strike out 3 players a game on average. I don't play softball, but I'm like guessing this could be good. Batting average 350. Like, so like, I'm sure there could be even more said, right? But that was just my attempt at.
Point is that they could provide a little bit more context, maybe, a little bit more about, how they shine in that sport.
Yep, yep. So then here she's a pitcher right fielder for the travel team, and then lead team to, and I think it's a travel team. I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have to try out or be invited? Like, so that could be helpful. There could be a colon, whatever, selected for this, or I don't know. Some context would be great. And then led team to several tournament wins and high level competitions. Okay. So I made it tournament level pitcher and right fielder, ABC travel team. And I said, top players in the county. I don't know, right? Led team to several tournaments, wins, and high level competitions. So I just fleshed it out a little bit more. All right, then the next one is work. Oh, and I want to point out, so we've got 15 hours here, 10 hours here. This is 50. This is all year round. This is 40 weeks. This next one, we have 10 hours for 50 weeks. And then this next one, I just want you to be mindful of the hours because I'm going to point something out about that. Okay, so now we're to youth instructor, ABC athletic, oversee youth activities and programs. Very simple, right? So I said, oversee youth activities programs like basketball, soccer, and softball, work with kids 8 to 10, teach good sportsmanship and kindness. So just a little bit of seeing what her values are, getting a sense of the level of students, the age level, just a little bit more going on, right? Okay, so now she also has a private softball lesson instructor, SELF, that's the org name, teach basics and advanced softball pitching skills to youth players. So I made it private instructor, started my own business, teach basic and advanced softball pitching skills to youth players ages 8 to 10, have 3 clients currently, market to families in my neighborhood. I just made that all up, but that's just a way to flesh it out. Now, so this is 3 hours per week, 50 weeks a year. So this is what I said here. The activities above that run 40 to 50 weeks a year total 38 hours a week without this one, which is 15 hours. Now, I imagine she's doing it year round. Maybe she's doing 30 hours in the summer, right? Or 40, right? So maybe this is why it's so high, but it's already 38 hours. So I don't know what's going on. That's a lot of hours with school. So, and if we add this, then we're up to, 50. So it's possible, but just be mindful. And I'd rather err on the case on the lower side to not raise a red flag. Potentially, unless the student wanted to put an additional information section, because of this, this, and this, my tournaments that run all weekend. I don't know. There could be a reason. I know sports can really be very time consuming. Okay. So restaurant hostess, ABC Burgers. You can see there are a lot of ABC places in this town. Obviously, I did that to make it anonymous. Hostess duties included. Well, she's still doing it, right? And in this case, you might not want to do it next summer, but let's just keep it in the present, at least in this example. Customer service, organizing tables. So I said, restaurant hostess, ABC Burgers, summers, work 30 hours. During school year, during school work 5. So now we have context, right? That's helpful. Greet customers with a smile. Focus on customer service and organizing tables for waitstaff. Train new employees. So again, we're seeing if this is the case for her, that she really values being welcoming. Whether she's working with students or, clients patrons of the restaurant. All right. So now community service. Instructor, ABC Girls Softball Association. Assist with softball skills training at youth org. Picnic, public clinics. So I made it instructor, same title. Assist with softball skills training at youth organization, public clinics. Encourage good sportsmanship and build a bond with players. Just a thought. I don't know what else she does. Again, here we could give the age range, how many kids she worked with at a time. There could be more added to that. and then community service. Now she's volunteer softball coach. So these are both at the same places. These could be combined into one activity. If she wanted to, if she had, more, she did 9 out of 10 activities. But even just so the admissions officers were reading less, this could maybe can be combined into one activity. But so I didn't do much here. This just wasn't clear. Volunteered as a youth softball coach. I think it's 10 and up, first year team, age 10 and up. I think that's what it's supposed to be, whether or not she made a mistake or so. So I just made it an age 10 and up, 10 and under first year team, just so it's clear, but I didn't have anything else to say about this. Okay, so let me see what I said here, okay, so here we go, career oriented. So this is when she's doing some health science stuff. This should probably be first because she's applying to be a student. She's applying for pharmacology, the pharmacy, undergrad pharmacy school, right? So I would probably put this first. So what I changed it, so she's got a 10-day and participate in a health science focused trip to Great Britain to learn about the history of medicine and healthcare. And I just said, anything else to share. And so, and also I said, select continue if she's planning on doing it later on, because that's, an option of what they're doing for the future. And I don't think she had selected continue. For some reason, I'm not even seeing that. Anyway, okay. So this is what I did. I went and researched her program and came up with specifics. So pre-pharmacy, I made it pre-pharmacy student, kind of like pre-med, and then the EFT travel tours. Health sciences in Great Britain, Edinburgh, and London. So participated in health science focused trip to learn about the history of medicine and healthcare. Took a forensic workshop, toured hospitals, explored medical museums. Those were just some of the descriptions for this tour. So that is how that can be fleshed out more. And that going up to the top would look more impressive. And then internship, softball camp counselor, Nike softball camps. And I didn't have anything else to add to this. So I just left it as it was because you guys got the point. So now I just want to show you, I changed the order and I added one more thing. I went on to edX.org and I looked up a pharmacy course and I made a pre-pharmacy student. Donex Introduction to Pharmacology, took self-paced course, learned various drug classifications and how drugs work at a molecular level in the human body. So that is what I added. And now she has 2. So now we're going to look at this quickly through the lens of her wanting to be a pharmacist. She's got the 2 pre-pharmacy student type activities. And then from there, we get into the softball, but you can see how the titles, pre-pharmacy student, varsity starting pitcher, tournament level pitcher, youth instructor, private instructor, restaurant hostess. I should put softball instructor there, softball coach, softball camp counselor. It just really pops, even if we're really reading it quickly. So those are my thoughts on how to improve. And then my hand went up again. Okay, so now I'm just going to quickly get into the essay and I'm wrapping this up. Okay, so she wrote about being an introvert, and you can see I made some edits on it. And basically, all in all, what I just found with her essay, I wrote that since you have room, people are in my way, so I can't see, sorry. I'd like to see more showing as opposed to telling. As an introvert, how do you deal with coaching and instructing younger softball players? Do you reach out to the introvert students to draw them out? As a team pitcher, how do you lead as an introvert? How do you deal with conflict resolution on the team? Sharing some of these details will help flesh out your essay so we can learn more about you, and it will show your growth and strengths. So I just wanted more specifics and a little more storytelling going on. And so those are my suggestions on how to expand her essay. And then just really quickly, I just want to show you, this is what the SRAR looks like once the student puts their information in. They have to put all their grades in, and that's what it ends up looking like. So, and that's it. That's the end of my presentation.
Great. Well, thank you, Ellen. And I have been answering a lot of questions as you've been going through, but just so that people know, I mean, hopefully you got a lot of information out of tonight's session, but we do these Common App reviews if somebody wants to have their Common App reviewed kind of in the way that Ellen just showed, where you know, she's in a good way being nitpicky, you know, about how students can, you know, maybe expand what they're included, or she'll give suggestions about how you can rephrase it so it sounds more impactful. So just, you know, something that if you want another set of eyes for somebody to be looking at that type of information, that's exactly what we can do. And somebody's asking, how do we sign up? You'll get a link with more information if that's of interest to you. And I'm just trying to think. I honestly, I'm looking through if there's any like major questions that we didn't go over. And I think we kind of hit most of them, Ellen. I mean, it's actually you know, 9:45, so it's not early. And I think we could probably all, you know, kind of use a rest for the night, but hopefully this was helpful. As always, you can send questions to support@roadtocollege.com. You can put questions in the Paying for College 101 Facebook group. And, you know, we are here to help in whatever way we can. This is beginning of September, and we are really, you know, it's going to heat up a little bit more, particularly before those early decision deadlines, and then, you know, in December. So as much as your student can do now, we keep saying it, the better, the better, the better. Just, you know, get things done as soon as you can. And anything else you have to add, Ellen?
I would just say, you know, try to tackle, there are a lot of little pieces, but try to tackle them one by one. Like you can see the activities really don't have to take that long. Get something down and then get another pair of eyes on it. Sometimes it's clear to you and your student, but get fresh eyes on it because not everyone knows what the XYZ, you know, award or whatever it is. So, but
Even if you give it to somebody, I mean, it doesn't have to be professional, to some, because
yes,
one of the biggest things I've heard from admissions counselors is, particularly as it comes to the Common App and the activity section, if they don't quickly understand something, they move on.
yep.
So they just don't have time to decipher, you know, initials, acronyms, you know, how you've described it. If they can't get it quickly, they just move on. In some ways, basically, that's become a lost opportunity.
Exactly. So you want to make sure that everything is clear, and that's exactly right. You're, you know, a neighbor, whatever, an uncle, have someone else look at it to say if it makes sense to them. But again, there are a lot of moving pieces, but if a student can knock off each piece per week, whatever it is to make your life easier, their lives easier, because the time gets really compressed now. And it's a lot, it's just a lot to get done, and students are going to get more anxious. And I know some students work better when they have pressure, but that's just really stressful for everyone.
And we'll share a few other tidbits. I mean, of course, I know there's going to be students that wait to the last minute. When I say last minute, like 11:55, you know, PM, and the deadline is midnight. Oh, you know, we can't predict what happens at that deadline. There have been years where
Oh,
there
it crashes.
and where the system crashes. So, you know, make an artificial deadline, even if it's 2 days before the official deadline. I just really would not wait to that evening to be submitting. So that's one thing. There's still a few questions about test scores, and I guess some students still wanting to maybe take the test again. You know, and people are wondering if they can still submit the applications, even though the student's going to take the test again and submit the scores after. So that's still possible. You don't have to have the test scores, in hand before sending in the application, but the test scores need to get there before the deadline. So make sure whatever test that they're planning on taking, that they get the scores back in time, that they actually get to the school before the deadline, and the application can get there separately.
Yeah. Someone asked, how do they sign up, Debbie?
Yeah, well, you'll get an email about if you want a Common App review, and if you really want to go right now to the website roadtocollege.com under services, you can see that there's a line that for us Common App, Common App review. So I hope this was helpful, and good luck, everyone, and good luck to you as parents. Good luck to students. I know that the fall is it's just a hard time of year.
And you will get through it. We all do. And
Yep.
will have a sigh of relief once the acceptances come in.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Good night. Thank you, Ellen, as always.
You're welcome. Nice
Okay.
seeing everyone. Good night.
Bye.